think it's ever too early to start comparing your relationship experiences. And like you said, once you've been around a person long enough, you won't do it as often. If you're truly happy with that person, you'll really stop comparing them to your past partners. It may pop up every now and then, but I don't think you'll do it as often if you're truly happy.
Okay.
I think it definitely it starts probably from the moment that you see them, as they said. Um, but the real thing I think they need to really focus on is comparing them not only to just your exes, but also just the people that you know. You see all types of traits and things that either trigger you or you do or do not like. So I think in general, you tend to compare people to everybody. There are certain things that make you feel good or not feel so good from any person, any relationship that's in your life. So I think it happens not only with just your exes, but also just family, friends, loved ones that you're comparing actions and behaviors to. So it's going to be important. It's going to have a big weight on how you move forward.
To wrap up this question, I want to ask this. Are you comparing the likeness, or are you comparing
I
the
think you compare everything, like things that are consistent. What are some things that you know are trends amongst both of them? And then what are differences? And is it a difference that I notice that either I want or not? But I think a big thing whenever it comes to comparing is, are you willing to at least articulate to the person that that action or whatever it is that you're comparing is something you need or want? Like, you shouldn't always expect people to do or behave the way that others do, because others may have not had that experience, a similar experience to know to do certain things. So I think a big thing is just to remember to articulate if there is some difference that's missing, that's lacking in the current relationship, being able to articulate that that is a need. And then if it still shows up missing, then decide how big that is a factor in you all moving forward.
can you really love someone new before you've technically healed?
All right, so can you love someone? I think you can love someone, but I don't necessarily know that you can be in love with someone. Or at least I haven't been able to manage anything like that, being in love with two people at one time. Or have I?
That's
I
the
don't know.
whole question.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I think I've had relationships that I lost that I regretted, and I think about like the fond memories, but I think humans have a propensity to think about the positive aspects of previous relationships if it wasn't like severely toxic. And even the toxic situations, I think you can still try to find like the the silver lining. So I don't know. My gut would say that I could not be in love with two people at the same time, but I can have love for someone while I'm falling in love with, whoever.
I'm glad you started with that, because I was waiting for somebody to say that. And what I want to know is the difference. What's the difference between being in love with somebody? I mean, it's two loves. I mean, how much different?
You can have love for somebody but not be in love with them.
Okay.
Like, you could care about somebody, you could want the best for them, you could truly get enjoyment from being around them, but you not be in love with them.
Okay.
I think that they're definitely two different things. Being in love, I think, is also an action. It's a way in which you're moving with somebody or towards somebody. To have love for someone, you care, like you love several people, you love people that you're not in intimate relationships, but to be in love with someone is different. So I think it's possible to be in love with somebody, but then have love for probably many, which I think is what Jay was hinting to when he was questioning had he or not.
Do you feel it's possible to love someone new, or be able to love someone new when moving on from loving someone in the past?
For me personally, I don't think it's possible, but maybe for somebody, I I think if I'm feeling so in love with someone else that I probably wouldn't even be giving that much attention to somebody, you know. So if I'm that in love with this person, I'm not out here.
Okay.
So
I agree with Janita. If you're truly in love with someone, I just feel it's impossible to give that much energy to someone else. It could be exhausting when you're in love with someone. That's like a partnership. You're investing in that person, and it's not always pretty. I don't see how a person can do that with two different people, investing that much energy into two different relationships. In my opinion, that means that really you're not in love with the first person as much as you think you are if you're able to get attached to someone else.
I mean, my understanding of that and those two words, they are different, and I agree with you guys, and pretty much how you summed it up. But what I've also learned is basically piggybacking off of what you just said, Ja Blue, you don't really know how much you're capable of loving or being in love with someone until you're actually doing it. So you might think you're in love or love someone, and then you meet someone new who pulls out some different emotions and take you to different heights that you didn't think you were possible, and then you may be in love. So you look back and say, I maybe wasn't in love with this person, or like I thought I would, maybe I just love this person. So I think as we mature into our adult years, we learn, and that definition kind of switches to, what you thought was being in love is actually just love. And what you thought was in love, you had no idea. This is more of a personal question for you guys, and I want your perspective on it. Has baggage ever permitted you from moving on, spending large amounts of time, whether it be, opening up and expressing yourself in ways that you might feel necessary to your partner? You don't do these things. So has anything like that ever prevented you from wanting to put the same type of energy into the next person, so which I would call baggage?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I don't necessarily know that I've had what I would consider baggage more than I'll say relationship fatigue. There's a lot of energy that you expel into a relationship. There's high expectations, and I always try to hold myself to a higher standard. Of course, I'm human, so I make mistakes all the time. But I think that it's really difficult. I really feel like people don't allow enough time to transition from one relationship to another because they're afraid of being alone. And sometimes it can be very difficult to be alone with yourself because there are questions that you start, asking yourself about yourself that people may not be comfortable dealing with. So we jump into relationships, and it's coined. The phrase has been coined, rebounds, right? So you end up dealing with someone that you may feel like, hey, this is a great fit, but maybe you're not ready to do all the things necessary in order for a relationship to work because you're still trying to recharge from your previous relationship, or you're not over the situation from your previous relationship. So yeah, I mean, it's a real thing, and I've experienced it before, so I'm just kind of at a point right now, like I'm single right now, but I'm single by choice just because I know what goes into a relationship, and it's a lot of energy if you want to do it the right way. So I have to recharge in a way, before I can even jump into entertaining anybody right now.
Okay.
I think in the past there have definitely been moments in which baggage of some sort prevented me from exploring a potential suitor or anything like that, just because I was either hung up on somebody, or but when I hear baggage sounds so harsh. But have there been has my attention or my focus been on someone else, and that has prohibited me from possibly moving forward? Absolutely. I think everybody has had a situation in which maybe it didn't work, something didn't work out, and then that initial moment trying to move forward. But I don't think there's too much wrong with just allowing yourself the time to process that, get the closure you need before trying to move forward. Because if not, then yeah, you're going to be constantly thinking about an ex, and then going back to the comparing, and then going back to really not having a good foundation in the relationship. So pretty much need to leave the baggage before move forward.
Okay.
In the words of Erykah Badu, pack light. I think we gotta allow yourself the time to heal from something previous before you just jump into something else. It's most of the time it's gonna be uncomfortable to sit with yourself if you just went through a breakup and you're hurt, you're traumatized, but it's important because otherwise you're gonna be carrying that same trauma into your next experience. So I think we've all carried baggage into a new relationship, but it's just important for us to just sit for a minute, sit with ourselves and allow ourselves to heal before we move forward.
Okay. I have one last question for you guys. What is the best indication that you are over someone and ready to move on? And what indications do you specifically feel you need to see within yourself or just feel as a person?
I think it's just a feeling. It's a feeling of like, you've regained that confidence to move forward. It's a just a new outlook on life. It's a positive energy that you feel. And when that is something that you have, then I think that's when you're ready to say that you're ready to move on. But if there's many moments dedicated to, thinking about, stressing about, worrying about why you're not with someone, then you're not ready to move on. So it's just a feeling. It's a energy. I think Jay mentioned talking about wavelengths. Yeah, what is my energy within? If it's down, then nah, I'm probably not ready. But it's an aura. So that when you have that bop to you,
I agree. It's a feeling. When you know. You can feel it physically, emotionally. When you're ready to move on, you don't really have to think about it too much. If you're still pondering, then it means you're not ready. Yeah, you just know.
It goes back to what I was saying about feeling recharged. It's just an energy that you have. You want to get out there. You want to go socialize. You want to be around people. And I think like that's the start, right, to really figuring out if you're open to engaging with someone. And then it's definitely about the connection. I've definitely had situations where I had absolutely no intent to have a girlfriend or to date anyone, and I came across someone who almost made everything slow down, and it was just like I'm focusing right in on her. So that's when I knew, that hey, like I'm ready. So I'm very sure to be the same type of situation, moving forward. You just decide, and you'll feel the energy. And sometimes, like I feel like your mind is very complex, so it'll actually nudge you toward the decision.
For me, what I've learned from that is, I agree with you guys. It is a feeling, but if I had to name or give it a name, I would say foresight. When you're at that point where you're able to see yourself past just an introduction or past just hanging out, to me, that's when I feel like that's when you're ready. For me, it's been a lot of times where I just want to live in the moment because that's really all I have the energy for is the moment. And those moments are spread out in a span. It may be every few weeks or every few days, and that's might be all you have to offer to someone. So that means you're not ready. But once you see yourself being with someone consistently and giving them more of your time, that's when I feel like that's when you kind of know. That's when that feeling develops a title or a name.